I went with Josh Palmer for the Bills. It's not sexy at all. I don't even think it's that exciting, but they just need like another starting body out there. And I think it's cool when teams kind of realize like, oh, if you got Josh Allen, maybe we don't need to splurge on, a hardcore number one wideout, right. That's going to take up, 150 targets or something like that. We can just get starting quality of wide receivers across the board, and we can still probably have like a top 3 offense because that's kind of where they're at right now. So I really like this Josh Palmer signing for them. It's funny when you go through True Media, you filter out guys who didn't get a whole lot of targets last year. He was just like a flatly average receiver in terms of efficiency stuff. But that's kind of what they needed to just add to this roster. Because I think outside Shakir, and we'll see what happens with Keon Coleman, they were getting pretty thin out there at wide receiver. So just to slap a Band-Aid on it with Josh Palmer, who's going to come in and be a solid starter for them, and will have a better, passing game construction ecosystem than he had with the Chargers. Maybe he can have a career year this year, but you start looking at, we got Josh Allen, we can run the ball, we got a good offensive line, we got Shakir, and now we got Josh Palmer who can play on the outside. That's probably all they need to go out there and have one of the best offenses in the league again, assuming everybody can stay healthy. So just from like a stability standpoint, and just kind of plugging holes with solid starters, I actually really like this signing.
Yeah, it's one of those, and Matt called him basically Mac Hollins plus, and it was like, I think that's what they're going for, because Palmer is a big body, he does dirty work. Like, I really like him as a power slot at times, and can win on the outside. Like you said, he's solid, he's average, but he's useful. Like, he gives you good snaps. And how the Bills have this offense this year that led to Josh Allen's MVP, on top of his own play, of course, was they had a badass run game with a great offensive line, and all the receivers would block their butts off. Like, that is why that was a part of it. Josh Palmer is part of that. He can be on the outside. All these bubbles and flats they like to throw to Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. There's Josh Palmer willing to be that kind of Mac Hollins role, get big on the outside, block those up, come on the inside if they want to run up the middle on duo or zone like that. Palmer can do that. Him and Shakir can kind of both do in and out Z, slot rolls. He can kind of invert with Dalton Kincaid as well, where Palmer's on the inside, Kincaid's bumped out. He wasn't for everybody. And yes, he's technically like the 2-3 in this offense, but that's what this, like you said, they have Josh Allen. They kind of want to live that way with a whole bunch of 2s and 3s that do all the dirty work, because it helps out the entire offense. So, this is one. More I sat on it, really made sense, because they kind of are just continuing that whole bully spread thing. And I think Palmer is just a part of that. I'm just going to reiterate what Matt said, kind of Mac Hollins plus, the younger, a little bit more talented Mac Hollins. And I totally dig that. So, yeah, not for everybody, but I like Palmer for the Bills. So I'm glad you brought this one up. Speaking of the Bills, this transitions nicely to my next favorite signings, and that's the Bills signing Joey Bosa to a 1-year, $12 million deal. Also, a little kind of ... Also signing Larry Ogunjobi for a 1-year deal of $8 million. Like these, they needed mercenaries on this defense, on their defensive front. I was trying to figure out how they were going to do that. Are they going to draft a guy maybe to get some pass rush there? I mean, they just paid big money to Gregory Rousseau. So it's like, all right, do they want to splurge even more resources on this front? Bosa is this type of mercenary that can impact games, is going to be part of a rotation. Sean McDermott loves rotating his defensive line. They also signed Michael Hoyt, speaking of the Rams, who's kind of a do-everything guy for the Rams. Going to be a little more curious in this defense that's a little more traditional, 4 down. Yeah, rush. That's a little... He's a curious fit for me there. I'll admit that one. That because I like him, actually. Yeah. Hoyt is just... He's just not for everybody. I would almost liked him with a Flores or even like maybe a Bold or a Spags, like a guy that's just kind of like all over the place with this guy. So that one I'm a little curious, but he's gonna be a role player here. Larry Ogunjobi, probably better in a 4-down front like this than what he's been playing in. These are guys that are part of the rotation, but they're still guys that can impact the game. This is not just bodies that's like, oh yeah, their best days are behind them. They just, Bosa's battles injuries. You're getting that, but you're hoping now it's not like how he's had to be with the Chargers, where he's playing 40 plus snaps every game, 50 plus snaps. Now we can get him for 20 to 30 really impactful snaps, basically doing what Von Miller was doing for them. But I think Bosa is probably a little bit better player than Von Miller was. Recently. So I like this one.